Good afternoon, and welcome to the Delray Beach Playhouse. Thank you so much for being here. Oh, it's wonderful to see our little family growing by leaps and bounds, one row at a time. Hopefully we'll be back to normal within our lifetime. I hope so, at any rate. For those of you new to the theater, my name is Randolph DelLago. I'm delighted to welcome you here today. And I want to thank all of you for coming out and supporting us. Because of your support, we are now presenting a play at the beginning of our 75th continuous season. 75 years, you know. Of course, in South Florida, being 75 will maybe get you into the junior section, of course, you know. You know you're in good hands with Agatha Christie, because she was, without question, without dispute, the single most successful writer of the 20th century. She outsold every writer but God. 800 million copies of her books were sold during the 20th century. Amazing. And this, I was astonished to learn, this was her second most successful show. I would have guessed 10 Little Indians, Witness for the Prosecution. No, I would have been wrong. I would have lost my 50 cents. It was The Spider's Web, which was the second longest run of any of her plays on the West End. Of course, you know what the first was, of course, The Mousetrap, which is still running. It opened in 1952 and is still running after 60 years. So I was amazed to find out that this was almost as successful. We have taken one liberty. This was originally written as a 3-act play. Today you're going to see it as a 2-act play. We cut it right in the middle because I assumed that you all wanted to have time to go out and have some drinks by the pool before darkness. So that is the one concession. You will have one chance to go out and stretch your legs and get something to drink. So thank you for being here, and we hope to see you next time at the Delray Beach Playhouse. Thank you.
I'd say, yes, definitely yes. This is the Dow 42. Dow 42. All right, next. Oh, this is wine indeed. Coburn 27. To waste a bottle of Coburn 27 on an experiment like this is positively sacrilegious. All right, now. That you say is the Coburn 27, number 2 is the Dow 42, and number 1 is the rich ruby port type wine. Can you explain why Clarissa would even have such a thing in her house? Probably for jugged hair or for flavoring soup. Nice. Well, my turn. Here we go. Yeah. And tying it up, there we are. Now I'll swivel the glasses around. Oh, no point in that. I think I'd be influenced by anything you said. I'm as good a judge of port as you any day, Rolly, my boy.
What's this? The 3-card trick with glasses?
What's going on? Somebody let a dog into the room? Oh, no, that's just Warrender. Oh, sounds like a dog that's been chasing a rabbit.
3 times to the lodge gates and back again in a Macintosh. The Hailsham-Slovakian minister, well, he did it in 4 minutes and 53 seconds. I went all out. I could do no better than 6 minutes and 10, and I don't think he could either.
Who's been telling you about the Hailsham-Slovakian minister?
Clarissa.
Clarissa, don't pay any attention to what she tells you. I'm afraid you don't know your hostess very well. She is a lady with a very vivid imagination.
You mean she made the whole thing up?
I wouldn't put it past her.
Wait till I get my hands on that lady. I've got something to say to her. Gosh, I'm dead.
Stop your huffing and puffing. Gotta concentrate. Got a $5 riding on this. Rolly and I have a bet on.
Oh, what's it all about?
Who's the better judge of port? We've got a Coburn 27, a Dow 42, and the local grocer's special. Quiet now.
Okay.
Well? Oh, don't hustle me, Rolly. I'm not going to rush my fences. Where's the next one? There it is. All right. I've got those two nailed down. First one's the Dow, second one's the Coburn.
Okay, Dow is number 3, and the Coburn is number 1.
All right, no real point in trying the third, but pay as long as I'm here.
It is?
Ah, what unspeakable muck! Take me an hour to get the taste out of my mouth. Get this thing off me, would you?
Let me here. Let me try. Let me try.
So that's what you say it is? Number 2 is the grocer's special?
Absolutely.
Rubbish! It's the Dow 42.
Oh, Pa, Rolly, you've lost your palate.
May I try?
Help yourself.
They all taste the same to me.
Oh, bollocks. You young people. It's all that confounded gin you're always swilling. Ruins your palate.
Hello, darlings. Have you settled it yet?
Yes, Clarissa, we are ready for you.
Number 1's the Coburn, number 2's the grocer's special, and number 3 is the Dow 42. Am I right?
Nonsense. Number 1's the grocer's special, number 2 is the Dow, and number 3 is the Coburn. I'm right, aren't I?
Well, darlings, you take the tray back into the dining room, and on the sideboard you'll find the decanter.
What? The decanter?
It's all the same port, you know.
You unprincipled humbug.
Well, it's been such a wet afternoon, and you were meant to play golf, and you have had some fun over this now, haven't you, darlings?
You should be ashamed of yourself for showing up your elders and betters.
And who was it who said he'd know a Coburn 27 anywhere?
Never mind, Hugo. Let's go have some more.
I'll drink to that.
So, what's all this about the Slovakian minister?
What about him?
Did he really run to the large gates and back again 3 times in a Macintosh in 4 minutes and 53 seconds?
Well, the Slovakian minister is such a dear, but he's well over 70, and I doubt very much if he's run anywhere for years.
Oh, so you did make the whole thing up. Why?
Well, you were complaining all day about not getting enough exercise.
Clarissa, do you ever speak the truth?
Well, of course I do sometimes, but when I do speak the truth, nobody ever seems to believe me. It's very odd. I suppose when you're making things up, it makes it sound all the more convincing.
I could have blown a blood vessel. Fat lot you'd have cared about that.
Oh, it's clearing up. It's going to be a lovely evening. How delicious the garden smells after the rain. Narcissus.
Darling, do you really like living here in the country?
Oh, I love it.
But it seems so boring, so incongruous to you. You should be living a gay life in London.
Oh, parties and nightclubs.
Yes, you'd make a brilliant host.
Oh, it sounds like an Edwardian novel. Besides, diplomatic parties are terribly dull.
But it's such a waste.
Of me?
And then there's Henry.
What about Henry?
Well, I can't imagine why you married him. A fine man, I have no doubt. But such a pompous stuffed shirt. Dull as ditch water, no sense of humor. I suppose I shouldn't be saying these.
Oh, say anything you like, I don't mind.
Oh, so then you realize that you've made a mistake.
Ah, but I haven't made a mistake. Are you making immoral advances to me, Jeremy?
Definitely.
Oh, go on.
I adore you.
Really? I'm so glad.
That's entirely the wrong answer. You should say, I'm so sorry, in a deep and sympathetic voice.
Oh, but I'm not sorry. I'm delighted. I like for people to adore me. Would you do anything in the world for me?
Anything.
Really? Oh, supposing I were
Hello,
to...
Clarissa.
Oh, hello, Pippa. You're late.
Music lesson.
Oh.
Any food about? I'm starving.
Well, didn't you get your buns to eat on the bus?
Oh yes, but that was half an hour ago. Can't I have some cake or something to last me till supper?
Yes, if you'd like. Come along.
Is there any of that cake with the cherries on top?
No, you finished that yesterday.
Is Mrs. Hailsham-Brown about?
Oh, Mrs. Peake. No, she just went out with Pippa to get something to eat.
Oh, children should not eat between meals.
Won't you come in, Miss Peake?
No, not with these boots on. I'd bring in half the garden if I did.
Yes.
I just stopped by to see what veggies for lunch tomorrow.
I'm sorry, I had
I'll tell you what, I'll come back. You will be careful with that desk, won't you, Mr. Warrender?
Yes, of course.
Good. It's a very valuable antique. You ought not to be wrenching those drawers around like that.
Actually, I was only looking for some notepaper.
Oh, middle pigeonhole.
Oh, that's right here.
That's right. It's curious how often people can't see what's right in front of their eyes.
Smashing bunny.
Hello, Pippa. How was school today?
Pretty foul. World affairs. Miss Wilkinson loves world affairs.
What's your favorite subject?
Biology. It's heaven. Yesterday we dissected a frog's leg. Look what I got in the second-hand bookstall. It's awfully rare, I'm sure. Over 100 years old.
What is it exactly?
It's a kind of recipe book. It's absolutely thrilling.
What's it all about?
What?
Well, it seems very interesting.
Oh my gosh!
Evidently a good tuppenny worth.
What's the difference between a wax candle and a tallow candle?
A wax candle and a tallow candle. Well, I would imagine that the tallow candle is markedly inferior. But surely you can't eat it.
Can you eat it? Sounds like 20 questions. Do you know demon patience?
Demon patience, No, I don't know.
I suppose you like to play beggar my neighbour.
Beggar my neighbor. No, darling, no, I don't know it.
I thought you wouldn't. I wish we could have a fine day for a change. Such a waste being in the country when it's wet.
Do you like living here in the country?
Rather. I like it much better than living in London. This is a wizard house with a tennis court and everything. We've even got a priest's hole.
Oh, a priest hole in this house?
Yes.
Impossible. It's the wrong period.
Well, I call it a priest's hole. Look, I'll show you.
Oh.
It isn't really a priest's hole, of course. Actually, that door goes to the library.
It does? Amazing. So it does.
It's all rather secret, and you never guess it was there unless you knew. I use it all the time.
Interesting. The Amazon was looking for you.
Oh, Miss Peake, what a bore.
Hey, that's mine.
Well, you greedy thing.
First she hailed me as if I were a ship. Then she ticked me off for manhandling that desk.
Oh, I know she's a terrible pest, but she goes with the house, and she's really a very good gardener.
I know. I saw her out my bedroom window this morning. Digging something that looked like an enormous grave.
Oh, that's called deep trenching. Here, that black tin goes on the red jack.
Yes, and the red 3 you put on the red 4.
It finally stopped raining. Not enough time for golf, though. Only about 20 minutes of daylight left. Oh, look at that. The jack on the queen.
Yeah.
Shall we go over to the golf clubhouse?
I suppose we might as well. I'll go get my coat. What about you, my boy?
Yes, I'll get my jacket.
Darling, are you sure you don't mind dining at the clubhouse?
Not a bit. A very sensible arrangement as the help is going out.
Pardon me, Miss Pippa. Your supper is ready in the schoolroom.
Oh, good. I'm ravenous.
Here, you put those cards away first.
Oh, bother.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes, Elgin, what is it?
I hate to bother you, but there's been some unpleasantness over the vegetables.
Oh, dear, with Miss P.
Yes, madam. Mrs. Elgin finds Miss Peake to be most difficult, madam. She's continually coming into the kitchen to criticize and make remarks. Mrs. Elgin doesn't like it. She doesn't like it at all. Everywhere we've been previously, madam, we've always had very pleasant relations with the garden.
Oh, well, I am very sorry, Elgin. I'll see if I can arrange it.
Thank you, madam.
dear, how tiresome they are, and what strange things they say. How can one have pleasant relations with the garden? It sounds improper in a pagan kind of way.
You're very lucky with that couple. Where'd you get them?
Registry office.
Oh, that's not the what's-its-name one that always sends you crooks.
Cooks?
Crooks.
Come on, Pippa, hurry up.
There. I wish one didn't have to do all the clearing up.
Here, take your bun with you. And your hat. Satchel. Here. And shut the door.
Wonderful. She's a different child. You've done a good job there, Clarissa.
Oh, I think she really likes me now, and trust me, you know, I really like being a stepmother.
She seems a happy, normal child again.
I think living in the country has made all the difference, and she goes to a really nice school that's making lots of friends. Yes, I think she's happy.
Yes.
And as you say, normal.
What a shocking thing to see a child in the state she was in. I'd like to wring Miranda's neck.
Oh, Pippa was absolutely terrified of her mother.
It's a shocking business.
Yes, it is. I mean, I get furious every time I think of Miranda and how she made Henry suffer and what she put that poor child through. I just don't understand how any woman could.
Well, taking drugs is a terrible business. It alters your whole character.
Well, what started her on them in the first place?
I think it was that swine Oliver Costello.
Oh.
I believe he's in the drug racket.
Well, he's a horrible man. Really evil.
She's gone and married him now, hasn't she?
Yes, about a month ago.
Well, Henry is well rid of Miranda. He's a very nice fellow.
Do you think you need to tell me that?
This fellow, Jeremy, what's his name? What do you know about him?
Well, he's very amusing.
Oh, that's all anybody cares about these days. Don't you go and do anything foolish now.
You mean don't fall in love with Jeremy Warrender?
That would be extremely foolish. Listen, I have watched you grow up, and you are very dear to me. If you were to get into any trouble of any kind, you'd come to your old guardian, wouldn't you?
Oh, of course, really, darling, and you needn't worry about Jeremy.
Mrs. Brown Hailsham, I hope you don't mind my coming in this way. I shan't dirty the room as I have left my boots outside. I should like you to take a look at this broccoli.
Oh, well, it looks very nice.
Here, take a look. Take a look!
Yeah, I can't see anything wrong with
Of course,
it.
there's nothing wrong with it. I brought in one such just yesterday, and that woman in the kitchen. I would never say anything against your servants, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, although I could say a great deal. But that Mrs. Elgin said something like it was such a poor specimen, she wasn't even going to cook it. She said, well, if that's the best you could do in the kitchen garden, perhaps you ought to look for work elsewhere. I was so angry I could have killed her. I will not go into that kitchen and be insulted, and I will not cause trouble. Henceforth, I will leave the vegetables outside the back door, and Mrs. Elgin can leave a list for me there of what is required. I'll get that. Cobblestone Court, hello? Oh, you want Mrs. Brown? Yes, she's here.
Thank you. Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Hailsham. Hello? Well, that's odd. They seem to have run off.
I am sorry, but Mr. Selland preferred to have this table up against the wall.
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh, and you will be careful about beverages making mark on the furniture, won't you, Mrs. Brown Hailsham? I'm sorry. Mrs. Hailsham-Brown. Brown, Hailsham, Hailsham-Brown. What difference does it make? They're all the same.
No, they're not. A chestnut horse is hardly the same thing as a horse chestnut.
Well, I'm getting a regular ticking off, aren't I? I guess it's time I was going. I will be toddling off. I'll take my broccoli, please. Horse, chestnut, horse. Jolly good, I've got to remember that one.
How the devil does Henry bear that woman?
He finds her very hard to take.
I should imagine so. All that insolence and that haughty schoolgirl manner.
Case of arrested development, if you ask me.
Well, I agree she's maddening, but she is a very good gardener, and she goes with the house, and since the house was so wonderfully cheap.
Cheap? Is it? You surprise me.
Oh, marvelously cheap. It was advertised, and we came down and saw it and took it right then and there for 6 months furnished.
Who does it belong to?
Well, it belonged to a Mr. Selwyn. He died. He was an antique dealer in Maidstone.
That's right. Selwyn and Brown. I bought a very nice antique Chippendale mirror from them. Well, Selwyn lived here and went into Maidstone every day, but I believe he sometimes brought clients out to the house.
Well, that's interesting. You know, just yesterday, a man in a violet check suit drove up in a sports car and wanted to buy that desk. I told him it wasn't ours for sale, but he didn't believe me. He kept on raising the price. He went up to £500 in the end.
Oh,
£500? Good Lord. I mean, even at the antique dealer's fair.
I'm still hungry.
Oh, you can't be.
I am. Milk and chocolate biscuits and a banana aren't really filling.
Seems nice enough. It's genuine, but hardly what I'd call a collector's piece.
Yeah, perhaps it's got a secret drawer with a diamond necklace in it somewhere.
It has got a secret drawer.
What?
I found a book in the market all about secret drawers in old furniture, and I tried all over the house, but this is the only one that's got one. Look, I'll show you. See, you slide out this drawer here.
That's not very secret, is it?
Ah, but that's not all. You pull this out, and underneath.
Hello, what's this? Sucks to you.
I put that there.
You villain!
Actually, there was an envelope with Queen Victoria's autograph in it. Look, I'll show you.
Do you collect autographs?
Not really, only as a sideline. A girl at school collects stamps, and her brother's got a smashing collection himself. Last autumn, he thought he got one like the one in the paper, a Swedish something or other, and it was worth hundreds of pounds. He was awfully excited and took it to the dealer, but the dealer said it wasn't what he thought it was, but it was a quite good stamp. Anyway, he gave him £5 for it. £5 is pretty good, isn't it?
Not bad.
How much is Queen Victoria's autograph worth?
5 or 10 shillings, I would think.
There's Ruskin's here too, and Robert Browning's.
Not much either, I'm afraid.
I wish I had James Mason's and Roger Bannister's. These historical ones are rather mouldy, I think. Clarissa, can I see if there's any more chocolate biscuits in the larder?
Yes, if you'd like.
Well, time for dinner. Where the hell's Jeremy? Jeremy! All right, Jeremy!
Oh, I think Henry will be home soon.
Well, thank you, Clarissa. Lovely afternoon.
Good night, Clarissa.
Good night.
Good night. Warrender and I probably won't be back until about midnight.
You know, it's such a lovely evening. I think I'll walk with you just as far as the gate to the golf course.
Good evening, sir.
I've come to see Mrs. Brown.
Yes, sir. What name, sir?
Mr. Costello.
If you'll follow me, sir. If you'll kindly wait here, sir. Madam is home. I will go and see if I can find her. Mr. Costello, did you say?
That's right. Oliver Costello.
Very good, sir.
You?
Clarissa, what are you doing here?
Well, that's a rather silly question, isn't it? It's my house.
This is your house?
Oh, don't pretend you don't know.
It's charming. Used to belong to old what's-his-name, the antique dealer. Yes. He brought me out here once to show me some Louis XV chairs.
Oh, well, that's fascinating. Now, I think you'd better leave. My husband will be home soon, and I don't think he'd be pleased to see you here.
I particularly do want to see him. That's why I've come here, really. To make suitable arrangements.
Arrangements?
Well, Pippa. Miranda's quite agreeable to Pippa spending part of the summer holidays with Henry and perhaps a week at Christmas. But otherwise...
What do you mean? Pippa's home is here.
But my dear Clarissa, surely you're aware that the court gave Miranda the custody of the child. May I? The case was undefended, remember?
Henry allowed Miranda to divorce him, but it was agreed between them privately that Pippa would live with her father. Miranda hadn't agreed to that. Henry would have divorced her.
You don't know Miranda well, do you? She so often changes her mind.
I don't believe for one moment that Miranda wants that child or cares twopence about her.
But you're not a mother, my dear Clarissa. You don't mind if I call you Clarissa, do you? After all, now I'm married to Miranda. We're practically relations-in-law. Yes, I can assure you, Miranda is feeling violently maternal.
I don't believe it.
Please yourself. After all, there was no arrangement in writing, you know.
You're not having Pippa. That child was a nervous wreck and she's better now and happy at school, and that's the way she's going to remain.
How will you manage that, my dear? After all, the law is on our side.
What's behind all this? What do you really want? Oh, what a fool I've been. Of course, it's blackmail.
I've been looking for you, madam.
Yes, Elgin, what is it?
If it's all right, Mrs. Elgin and I will be leaving now for the evening.
Yes, quite all right.
Our taxi has come for us. Supper is all laid out in the dining room. Would you like me to lock up in here, madam?
Now, I'll see to it.
Thank you, madam. Good night, madam.
Good night, Elgin.
Blackmail is a very ugly word, Clarissa. Have I mentioned money?
Not yet. But that's what you mean, isn't it?
Well, it's true. Miranda and I are not very well off. I think she feels that Henry might be able to spare her a somewhat larger allowance. After all, he's a rich man.
Now, you listen to me. I don't know about Henry, but I do know about me. You try taking Pippa away from here, and I will fight you tooth and nail, and I don't care what weapons I use. Shouldn't be difficult getting medical evidence proving Miranda's a drug addict. Now, I'd even go to Scotland Yard to the narcotics squad, and I'd tell them to keep an eye out on you.
Henry will hardly care for your methods.
Oh, well then Henry will have to lump them. It's the child that matters. I will not have Pippa bullied or frightened.
Clarissa, did you know there are only 2 chocolate biscuits in the tin?
Why, hello, Pippa. How you've grown. I've just come to make some arrangements about you. Your mother is looking forward to having you with her again. She and I are married now.
I won't come. Oh, Clarissa!
No, Pippa, it's no worry. Your home is here with your father and with me, and you're not leaving it.
But I assure you...
Get out of here at once. At once, I tell you. I will not have you in my house. Do you hear?
Mrs. Hailsham-Brown,
Miss Peake, will you please show Mr. Costello out through the garden to the gate?
Miss Peake?
pleased to meet you. I'm the gardener here.
Indeed. I came here once before to look at some antique furniture.
Oh, yes, in Mr. Sellen's time. Well, you can't see him today, you know. He's dead.
No, I didn't come to see him. I came to see Mrs. Brown.
Oh, yes. Well, now you've seen her, haven't you?
Well, goodbye, Clarissa. You will hear from me, you know.
This way, Mr. Costello. Will you be needing the bus, or did you bring your own car?
No. I left my car around by the stables.
He'll take me away from here.
No.
I hate him. I've always hated him.
Pippa.
I don't want to go back to Mother. I'd rather die. I'd much rather die. I'll kill him. I'll kill myself. I'll cut my wrists and bleed to death.
Pippa, control yourself. Everything's going to be all right, darling. I'm here.
I don't want to go back to Mother, and I hate Oliver. He's wicked, wicked, wicked.
Yes, dear, I know.
Perhaps he'll be struck by lightning.
Oh, very likely. Now, you keep yourself together. Everything's going to be all right. Now go have a nice warm bath, all right? Oh, and mind you, have a really good wash. Your neck is absolutely filthy.
It always is. You won't let him take me away from here, will you?
No, darling. Over my dead body. Oh, no. Over his dead body. Does that satisfy you? Run along.
darling.
Oh, Henry, hasn't it been an awful day?
Has it?
Yes. Hello, darling. Would you like some a drink?
Not just now. Who's in the house?
No one. You know, it's the Elgin's night out, Black Thursday. So there's cold ham, chocolate mousse, and the coffee will be really good because I will make it. Henry, is something the matter?
Well, yes, in a way.
Something wrong, Miranda?
No, nothing wrong. I should say quite the contrary. Yes, quite the contrary.
Well, darling, do I perceive behind that impenetrable Foreign Office facade a certain human excitement?
Well, it is rather exciting in a way.
Well?
As it happens, there's a slight fog in London tonight.
Oh, is that exciting?
No, not the fog, of course.
Well?
You'll have to keep this to yourself, Clarissa.
Yes?
It's really a very secret. Nobody's supposed to know, but actually, you'll have to know.
Well, come on, tell me.
It's all very hush-hush.
Okay.
Callendorf is flying to London for a conference tomorrow.
Yes, I know.
What do you mean you know?
I read it in the paper last Sunday.
But the papers couldn't possibly know that Callendorf was coming over. It's top secret.
Darling, top secret indeed. The things you high-ups believe.
Dear, there must have been some leak.
Well, darling, I would have thought by now you'd know there always is a leak. I would have thought you'd all be prepared for it.
The news was only released officially tonight. Callendorf's plane is due at Heathrow at 8:40. But actually... Now, Clarissa, can I trust you to be discreet?
Well, I'm much more discreet than any Sunday newspaper.
The conference is tomorrow. But it would be a great advantage if a conversation could take place first between Sir John himself and Callendorf. Now, naturally, the reporters are all waiting at Heathrow. And the moment the plane arrives, Callendorf's movements will be more or less public property. Fortunately, this incipient fog has played into our hands.
Oh, go on, I'm thrilled.
The plane, the last moment, will find it inadvisable to land at Heathrow. It will be diverted, as is usual on
to
this
Bitley
occasion.
Heath. That's just 15 miles from here. Bitley Heath Airport, I see.
You're always very quick, Clarissa. Yes, I shall go off there now to the airport in the car, meet Callendorf, and bring him here. Sir John is motoring down directly from London. 20 minutes will be ample for what they have to discuss, and Callendorf will go back to London with Sir John. You know, Clarissa, this could be of great value to me in my career. I mean, they're reposing a lot of trust in me having this meeting here.
Well, as they should. Oh, darling, I think it's wonderful.
Oh, by the way, Callendorf will be referred to as Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones?
Well, one can't be too careful about using real names.
Yes, but Mr. Jones? Couldn't they have thought of something better than that? Well, what about me? Shall I retire to the harem, as it were? Or should I bring in the drinks, utter greetings, and then discreetly fade away?
You must take this seriously.
Oh, darling, I am serious, really I am. I promise nothing will go wrong, but can't I have a little fun?
I think it would be better, perhaps, Clarissa, if you didn't.
All right. Well, what about food? Will they want something?
Oh, no. There need be no question of a meal.
No. A few sandwiches. Yes, ham sandwiches. Elgin is preparing them for our dinner, so I'll put them on a plate, cover them with a cloth napkin to keep them moist. Yes, that'll do quite nicely. I'll make some hot coffee, keep it in a thermos jug. The chocolate mousse I will keep for myself to console me for being excluded from this conference.
Now, Clarissa.
Darling, nothing will go wrong, I promise.
What about old Rowland?
Well, he and Jeremy are having dinner with Hugo at the club. They're going to play bridge afterwards, so they won't be back until after midnight.
And the Elgins are out.
Yes, darling, you know they always go to the cinema on Thursdays. They won't be back until after 11.
Good. That's all quite satisfactory. Sir John and Mr.
Mr. Jones.
Quite right, darling. We'll have left long before that. Well, I better have a quick wash before starting off for Bindley.
All right, darling, I'll prepare the sandwiches.
You must remember about the lights, Clarissa. We're making our own electricity here. Not like London. Clarissa?
Here. Do you want a sandwich before you go?
No, I think I'd better start.
Oh, darling, you'll be much too early. It'll only take you 20 minutes to get there.
One never knows. I might have a puncture or something. Oh, there you are, darling. Something might go wrong with the car.
Oh, darling, don't fuss.
What about Pippa? She won't come down or barge in.
No. I'll go up to the schoolroom with her and we'll share the chocolate mousse between us.
How good you are to Pippa. It's one of the things I'm most grateful to you for. I never can express myself very well. So much misery. Now, everything is so different because of you.
Oh, Henry. Darling, you go meet your Mr. Jones. Will you be coming in the front way? Shall I leave the door unlatched?
No, I think we'd better use the window.
All right, darling. Well, you drive carefully, all right?
Yes, dear.
Yes, be very careful.
Really?
Goodbye, darling.
Goodbye.
I didn't mean to kill him.
Oh, no, of course not. Oh, Pippa, you've got to forget all about this. Oh, please forget all about this, will you?
Yes, but I...
Pippa, listen to me. I want you to be very brave and do exactly what I tell you. Will you do that for me?
Yes, right. I will.
Okay, I want you to go upstairs and get into bed right now.
You come with me?
Yes, I'll be there as soon as I can, and I'll give you a nice little white tablet, and you'll go to sleep, and in the morning everything will seem quite different. There may be nothing to worry about.
But he is dead, isn't he?
No, darling, no, he may not be dead. Now listen, Pippa, do as I tell you, please. Go to bed right now. Go on. Oh, what do I do? What am I going to do? 3 spades, 4 hearts, 4 no trumps pass, 5 diamonds pass, 6 spades double, and I think they go down. Let me see. Double vulnerable, 2 tricks, 500, or should I let them make it?
Oh, thanks.
Oh, thank God you've come.
What's all this?
Oh, darlings, you've got to help me.
Oh, looks like a bridge party.
No, it's serious, terribly serious. You will help me, won't
Of
you?
course we'll help you. What's it all about?
Well, it's just terribly serious.
What is it, melodramatics?
No,
You're up to something, Clarissa. What is it? Have you found a body?
yes, that's just it. I have found a body.
Oh, what do you mean you found a body?
When?
It's just as Jeremy said. I came in here and I found a body.
In here?
Yes, go look. It's behind the sofa.
It's Oliver Costello.
Yes.
What was he doing here?
He came here to talk about Pippa right after you left for the club.
Well, what did he want with Pippa?
He was threatening to take her away, but none of that matters now. We must hurry. We've very little time.
Not so fast. We must have the facts. What happened then?
I said he wasn't having her, and then he left.
But he came back?
Obviously.
How? When?
I don't know. I just came in here and found him like that.
Well, he
definitely dead. Struck in the head with something heavy and sharp. Well, this won't be a pleasant business, but there's only one thing to do now. First, bring up the police.
Oh, no!
Listen, you ought to have done that at once. Still, they shan't blame me much for that.
No, Rolly, stop!
Marissa.
I would have phoned up the police myself if I had wanted to. I knew it was the right thing to do. I even started dialing. But then I rang you up. You haven't even asked me why yet. I need you to help me.
Just leave it to us. We will take care of it.
Oh, you haven't begun to understand. I want you to help me.
What do you want us to do, Clarissa?
Get rid of that body.
Don't talk nonsense. This is murder.
That's the point. That body mustn't be found in this house.
Are you out of your mind? You can't go moving bodies about.
I've moved it already. I looked to see if he was dead. I tried dragging him to the recess, but then I couldn't do that, so I realized I needed help, and that's when I rang you up. And while I was waiting for you, I came up with a plan.
Including a bridge game.
Yes, this is going to be our alibi.
Oh, come now. What are you talking about? How's this going to be an alibi for us?
Listen, 2.5 brothers. I've imagined all the hands in my head and written them down on this marker. You 3 will have to finish the others in your own handwriting, of course.
You're mad. Quite mad.
No, I've worked it out beautifully. That body has to be taken away from here, and it's going to take at least 2 of you to do it. A dead body is terribly unmanageable. I found that out already.
And where the hell do you expect us to take it?
Oh, I think the best place would be Marston Wood. That's just 2.5 miles from here. It's a side road, hardly any traffic on it. About when you get out of here by the gate, you make a left. Now you just take the car and you leave it on the side of the road when you get into the wood. And then you walk back here, and it's a dark night, so nobody should see you.
Do you mean you want us to dump that body in the wood?
No, I want you to leave that body in the car. It's his car, don't you see? He left it round by the stables. Oh, it's very easy. If anybody does see you because it's so dark, they won't recognize you, and we have an alibi. We've all 4 been playing bridge here.
I don't see...
Oh, and you must wear these gloves so that you don't leave fingerprints on anything. I have them laid out for you already.
Your natural talent for fabrication leaves me speechless.
She's got it all worked out, hasn't she?
It's damn fool nonsense all the same.
We must hurry, though. At 9 o'clock, Henry and Mr. Jones will be here.
Mr. Jones? Who is Mr. Jones?
Oh, a silly name, I know, but that's what they're calling him. It's all top secret. Nobody's supposed to know about it. I can't tell you about it, but there's to be absolutely no publicity.
And Mr. Jones?
Yes, I know it's a silly name, and listen, it's very important that you listen to what I'm telling you. It's all top secret. Henry told me not to say anything to any of you, but I have to make you see that I'm not just being an idiot and play acting, as Hugo calls it. What sort of effect do you think it will have on Henry's career if he comes in here and finds the police investigating a murder and the murder of a man who was just married to Henry's former wife?
Good Lord. You're not making this up?
Nobody ever seems to believe me when I'm speaking the truth.
I'm sorry. It's a bigger problem than I thought.
Oh, but we must take the body away from here. I think the car is by the stables.
I'm game. What's a dead body or 2?
Don't be foolish. I won't allow it. Clarissa, you must be guided by me in this. There's Henry to consider, too.
But it's Henry I am considering. I just tried to explain that to you. It will have a terrible effect on his career. So, please, go get the body, put it in the car by the stables.
Where's the car, you say?
By the stables.
Okay.
What is wrong with you?
The servants are out, I gather.
Yes, they're out.
Yeah.
Let's just do it. Will you do it?
Now, do I take the body to the car or bring the car to the body?
Just a moment. We mustn't rush this.
We have to hurry.
Clarissa, I don't think your plan is the best. Listen, if we can just put off finding the body until tomorrow morning, I think that might meet the case. That might be excusable.
If we merely move the body to another room, I think that might fit the bill.
Oh, it's you I have to convince, isn't it? I'm sure Jeremy will do it, and Hugo, he'll grunt and groan, but he'll do it all the same. It's you. Hugo and Jeremy, will you please go wait in the library? I need to speak to Uncle Rolly alone.
Sure. Don't let that woman talk you into any tomfoolery, Rolly.
Good luck.
Now,
I love you, Clarissa, and I will always love you, but in this case, the answer is no.
Uncle Rolly, that man's body mustn't be found in this house. If he's found in Marston Wood, I can say that he was here for a very short time, and I can actually tell the police when he left. He went out through this window with Miss Peake, which is very fortunate, so there need be no question of him ever coming back here. But if he's found in this house, then we will all be questioned. And Pippa won't be able to take it.
Pippa?
She'll break down and confess.
Pippa? My God.
She was absolutely terrified when he came here tonight. I told her that I wouldn't let him take her away, but I don't think she believed me. You know what she's been through, the nervous breakdown she's had. She said she didn't mean to, and I do believe that's the truth. It's just that she was so frightened and terrified. I think she just panicked and got hold of that stick and struck out blindly.
Oh, what stick?
Oh, the one from the hall stand. It's in the recess now. I left it there. I didn't touch it.
Where is she now?
She's in bed. I gave her a sleeping pill, so she shouldn't wake up until the morning. And then tomorrow I'll take her to London, and my old nanny will look after her.
You win. I apologize. Pippa mustn't be asked to face the music.
Oh.
Go get the others.
Thank you. Jeremy! Hugo!
That butler of yours doesn't know how to lock up properly. The library window is wide open.
What?
It's all right. I took care of it.
Oh, dear.
Well, what the hell?
I'm convinced.
Oh, bollocks.
Well done. No time to lose. Gloves.
Gloves.
How does this thing open?
Here, I'll show you. Pippa showed me. Hold on. Give it a little tug. It's not as hard as it looks. Voila.
Here it is. Heavy enough, weighted in the head.
Oh.
Still, I shouldn't have thought.
What?
I should have thought it would be something with a sharper edge, metal of some kind.
Oh, you mean like a goddamn hatchet?
No, that stick looks pretty murderous to me. You could crack a man's head open with that one for sure.
Evidently, yeah. Hugo, burn this in the kitchen stove. Warrender, help me get this body to the car.
I take the heavy end.
What's that?
That's the front doorbell. It's much too early for Henry and Mr. Jones. It must be Sir John.
Sir John, the foreign secretary? Well, we must do something. Clarissa, you answer the door. Use whatever delaying tactics you can. We'll clear up in here. We'll get the body in there.
Need a hand?
No, I think I got it. Hold on. Wait.
1, 2, 3. There we go. Okay, when they're having their powwow in here, we'll get the body out through the library.
Oh.
Gloves.
Hold on.
Here.
Gloves.
Bridge.
Hugo! Hugo, come out!
Gloves. Find the pillow. Bridge. Deal the cards, Hugo.
Uncle Rolly, it's the police.
Pardon the intrude, gentlemen, but we have received information that a murder has been committed
Isn't
here.
it extraordinary?
Someone called the station. Good evening, Mr. Birch.
Good evening, Inspector Lord.
I believe someone's been hoaxing you, Inspector.
We've all been playing bridge here. Who did they say had been murdered?
Well, no names were mentioned. The caller just said that a man had been murdered at Copplestone Court, and would we come along immediately?
Well, it must have been a hoax. What a wicked thing thing to do.
You'd be surprised, madam, at the potty things people do. Now then, according to you, nothing out of the ordinary has happened here this evening. Perhaps I'd better talk to Mr. Hailsham-Brown.
Oh, I'm sorry, he's out. He won't be back until very late.
I see. Who is there in the house?
Well, Sir Roland, Delahaye, Jeremy Warrender, Mr. Birch, oh, my little stepdaughter, but she's asleep in bed.
What about servants?
No, it's their night out. They're at the pictures in Maidstone.
I see.
Would you be wanting anything, madam?
I thought you were at the pictures, Elgin.
Yes, madam, but we returned almost immediately. My wife wasn't feeling well, gastric upset. Is there something wrong?
What's your name?
Elgin, sir. I certainly hope there's
Someone
nothing...
rang up the station and said a murder had been committed here.
A murder?
What do you know about that?
Nothing, absolutely nothing, sir.
Wasn't you who rang up?
Indeed not.
Why, you came in by the back door, I suppose?
Yes, sir.
Notice anything unusual?
Now that I think of it, there was a strange car parked out by the stables.
A strange car?
Yes, I wondered whose it might be. Curious place to leave it.
Anybody inside?
Not that I could see, sir.
Go take a look at it, Jones.
Jones?
Beg your pardon?
Nothing. I just didn't think you looked very well.
Well, it seems that someone called here this evening who was unaccounted for. You weren't expecting anyone?
No, we didn't want anyone else. It was just the four of us here for bridge.
Oh, I'm fond of a game of bridge myself.
Are you? Do you play Blackwood?
Oh, I just like a common sense game. Now, you haven't been here very long, have you, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown?
No, just about, let me see, 6 weeks.
And there's been no funny business of any kind since you've been here?
Exactly what do you mean by funny business?
Well, it's a rather curious story, sir. This house belonged to Mr. Shala, the antique dealer. He died 6 months ago.
Yes, he had some kind of accident, didn't he?
Well, that's right. He fell downstairs, struck his head. Accidental death they brought in. Oh, might have been that, might not.
Oh, you mean someone might have pushed him?
Yes, or someone hit him on the head and arranged for him to be found at the bottom of the stairs.
Those stairs out there?
No, at the shop. No evidence, of course, but he was rather a dark horse, Mr. Shala.
In what way?
Well, once or twice he had a couple of things to explain, as you might say, and the narcotics squad came down and had a word with him once, but it was all only suspicion.
Officially, that is.
That's right, sir, officially.
Whereas unofficially?
Well, I'm afraid we can't mention that, but there was one rather curious circumstance. There was an unfinished letter found on Mr. Shala's desk in which he mentioned having come into possession of something he described as an unparalleled rarity, which he would guarantee wasn't a forgery, and he was asking £14,000 for it.
£14,000? That's a lot of money. I wonder what it was. Jewelry, I suppose. No, forgery. A picture bag.
Yes, but there was nothing in the shop worth such a sum of money. The insurance inventory made that clear. And Mr. Shala's partner was a woman who has a business on her own in London, and she wrote and said that she couldn't give us any help.
So he might have been murdered and the article, whatever it was, stolen.
Well, it's possible, but again, the would-be thief may not have been able to find it.
Why do you think that?
Because the shop has been broken into twice since then. Broken into and ransacked.
Oh, why are you telling us this, Inspector?
Well, because, madam, it's occurred to me that whatever was hidden away by Selin may have been hidden here and not at the shop at Maidstone, and that's why I asked you if anything peculiar had come to your notice.
See, well, someone did phone here earlier today and asked to speak to me, and when I went to answer, they just hung up. In a way, that's rather odd. Oh, and there was that man that came yesterday looking for wanting to buy that desk. I told him it wasn't ours to sell.
This one here?
Yes, but he didn't believe me, and he ended up offering a very large sum, far more than it's worth.
Interesting. These things often have a secret drawer.
Oh, yes, this one has. My little stepdaughter found it, but there wasn't anything in it, just some old autographs.
Yes, Mr. Jones.
I've examined the car, sir. We have these gloves in the driver's seat and registration in the side pocket.
Let's see. Oliver Costello. 27 Morgan Mansions, SW3. Has a man called Costello been here today?
Oh, yes, he was here, let me see, about, 6:30.
A friend of yours?
Oh, no, I wouldn't call him a friend. I mean, we've met once or twice. It's a little awkward.
Perhaps it'd be better if I explain the situation, Inspector. It concerns the first Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, Miranda. There was a divorce a little over a year ago. She really recently married Oliver Costello.
I see. And Mr. Costello came here today, why? By appointment?
No appointment. Actually, when Miranda left, she took one or two things that weren't really hers, and Oliver was in this side of the world and decided to bring them back.
Well, what kind of things?
Oh, nothing very important. Oh, one of them was a silver jewelry box. It belonged to my husband's mother, and he treasures it for sentimental reasons.
But how long did Mr. Costello remain?
Oh, not long, just about 10 minutes, I should think.
And your interview was quite amicable.
Oh, yes, Inspector. I thought it was very kind of him to return the items.
Did he mention where he was going when he left?
No, actually he left through this window and my lady gardener, Miss Peake, showed him out.
Your gardener? Does she live on the premises?
Yes, in the cottage.
I think I should like a word with her. Jones.
You know, there is a connection to the cottage. Would you like me to ring her off?
If you would be so kind, madam.
Be my pleasure. I don't think she's gone to bed yet, but we'll see. Oh, hello, Miss Peake. It's Mrs. Hailsham-Brown. I'm sorry to trouble you. I was just wondering if you might come over. Something rather important has come up. Yes, that will be fine. Thank you. Bye-bye. She was washing her hair, but she'll get dressed and come right over.
Thank you. He may have mentioned to her where he was going.
Yes, he may have.
The question is, why is Mr. Costello's car here, and where is Mr. Costello? Apparently, Miss Peake was the last person to see him, and he left, you say, by that window. Did you lock it after him?
No.
Oh.
Oh, I don't think so.
So he might have re-entered that way. I think, madam, with your permission, I should like to search the house.
Yes, of course. Absolutely. And, well, you've seen this room. There are nobody's hidden here. Would you like to go into the library?
Yes, thank you. Jones?
Yes, sir.
See where that doorway leads to.
Just through to the hall, sir.
Right. Now we'll search the rest of the house.
Oh, absolutely. If you don't mind, I'll go with you in case my little stepdaughter should wake up and be frightened.
Of course.
Right this way, Inspector.
Thank you, madam.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you.
And now what?
I don't like it a bit. We're getting in deep.
I think we should just come clean. Make a clean breast of it now before we get in any deeper.
Nope, damn it. It is too late for that. It would be unfair to Clarissa.
It'll be even more unfair if we continue with this charade. Now, how are we going to move the body? The police will impound the fellow's car.
We'll use mine.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Damn it! I'm a local JP. People know me around here. Come on, Rolly, you've got a good level head. What do you say?
Personally, I'm committed to the enterprise.
I don't understand you.
Take it on trust, if you will. Listen, I know we're all in a jam here, but if we stick together with a little luck, we should pull it off. Once the police are convinced that Costello's not here, they'll go looking elsewhere. Lots of reasons why a man might leave his car and go off on foot. There's no reason why suspicion should attach itself to any of us. We're all respectable people here. Hugo's a JP, Henry's in the Foreign Office.
And you've had a long and distinguished career. All right. We'll brazen it out.
Can't we do something about that body straight away?
Not enough time. It's safer where it is. They'll be back any moment.
I must say that Clarissa is a marvel. She doesn't turn her hair. She has that inspector just eating out of her hands.
Oh, that will be Miss Peake, I would imagine.
Yes.
Could you answer the door?
Yes, sir, of course.
Roly, what did that woman say to you when she got you alone?
Ah, Miss Peak.
Good evening, Mr. Warrender.
Why did you step into our living area?
Something happened. Mrs. Hailsham-Brown was most mysterious on the phone. What's going on?
So sorry to have routed you out.
Oh,
Do sit down.
thank you.
As a matter of fact, we do have the police here.
The police?
Yes.
Has there been a robbery?
No, not that, but
Inspector, this is Miss P.
Oh, good evening, Miss Pete.
Good evening, Inspector. I was just asking Sir Roland, has there been a burglary or something?
Well, we received a rather peculiar telephone call which brought us out here, and we think you could probably help us clear up the matter.
Me? Oh, this is mysterious.
Yeah, it concerns Mr. Costello, Oliver Costello, 27 Morgan Mansions, Chelsea.
Never heard of him.
Well, he was here this evening visiting Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, and I believe you showed him out through the garden.
Oh, yes, that man. Mrs. Hailsham-Brown did mention his name. What do you want to know?
Well, I should like to know exactly what happened and when you last saw him.
Oh. Well, we went out through this window. I told him there was a shortcut if he wanted the bus, but he said no, that he had brought his car and parked it down here by the stables.
Rather an unusual place to park a car.
Well, that's what I thought. You'd think he'd want to drive right up to the front door. People are so odd sometimes.
And then?
Well, then he got in his car and drove away, I suppose.
You didn't see him do so?
No, I was putting my tools away.
And that's the last you saw of him?
Yes, why?
Well, his car is still here. A call was put through to the police station at 7:49 saying that a murder had taken place at Popplestone Court.
A murder? Here? Oh, that's ridiculous.
Well, that's what everybody seems to think.
Well, you hear all the time about maniacs assaulting women, but... Oh, you said this was a man who had been murdered.
You didn't hear a car this evening?
Only Mr. Hailsham-Brown's.
Mr. Hailsham-Brown, I thought he wasn't expected home until late.
Oh, well, my husband did come home for a short time and then he had to leave almost immediately.
Well, exactly when did he come home?
Oh, let me see, it was
Well, it was about a quarter of an hour before I got off duty. I work a lot of overtime, Inspector. I never keep regulation hours. Always be keen on your job, that's what I say. Yes, it was 20 minutes after 7 when Mr. Hailsham-Brown got in.
That was shortly after Mr. Costello left. They probably passed each other.
Oh, you mean he might have come back to meet with Mr. Hailsham-Brown?
No, all of it did not come back to the house.
But you don't know that for sure, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown. He could have come in through that window without you noticing a thing at all. Oh, golly. You don't think that he murdered Mr. Hailsham-Brown, do you? Oh, I say, I am sorry.
Oliver did not murder Henry.
Where did your husband go when he left here?
No idea.
Doesn't he usually tell you where he's going?
Inspector, I never ask questions. I think it is so boring for a man if his wife is always asking questions.
Oh, how stupid of me. The man's car is still here, so he must be the one who's murdered.
no one believes that anyone has been murdered. The inspector believes that it's all been some silly hoax.
But the car is still here. That is very suspicious. Have you checked the grounds for a body, Inspector?
The inspector has already searched the house.
Oh, I bet those Elgins had something to do with this. I've had my suspicions about them from the beginning. I saw a light in their window when I was coming over here this evening. That in itself is very suspicious. This is their night off, and they do not usually come home until past 11. Have you checked their quarters, Inspector? Oh, wait. Wait, what if this Mr. Costello recognized Elgin as being a man with a criminal record? Now, he came back to warn Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, and Elgin assaulted him. Now, Elgin would need some place to hide the body quickly so he could come back later on and pick it up. Now, where would he hide a body? In the cellar?
Miss P, there are no bodies hidden in the cellar, and Elgin didn't murder anyone. It's really quite ridiculous.
Oh, you're so trusting, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown. Someday you will realize that people are often not quite what they seem. Now, where would a man like Elgin hide a body? Oh, you've looked in that cupboard space between here and the library.
Miss Peak, the inspector has already looked here and in the library.
What did you mean by that cupboard space, Miss Peak?
Oh, it is the most wonderful place when you're playing hide and seek. You would never know it was there. Here, I'll show it to you.
Oh, no, there's no need going in there. I went that way through to the library just now. Nobody's in there.
Oh, well, then in that case.
Just show me all the same. I'd like to see.
All right. Well, it used to be a door. It was just like this one. And there was a catch on this side. And then all you had to do was to open it up widely like this. You could hide in there. Oh, my God!
So there was a murder here tonight. Better not move him till they've taken the photographs. Not that it will tell us anything. He wasn't killed there. He was put there afterwards. You can see where his feet have dragged.
How are you feeling?
Better.
You know, it might be as well to close the bookcase door. We don't want any more hysterics.
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Hailsham-Brown has had a terrible shock. She ought to go to her room and lie down.
Certainly. In a moment or two, I'd just like to ask her a few questions first.
She's not fit to be questioned.
I'm all right, really, I am.
It's very brave of you, but I think it's wiser not.
Oh, dear Uncle Rolly, he's always so sweet to me.
Yes, I can see that.
Go ahead and ask me anything, Inspector, although I won't be able to help you. You see, I just don't know anything.
Oh, we shan't worry you much. Now, will you join the other gentlemen, sir?
I think I'd better remain just in case.
I'll call you if it should be necessary. Now then, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, if you are ready.
Oh, yes, of course. This isn't going to be the third degree, is it, Inspector?
Nothing of the kind. Just a few simple questions. Are you ready, Mr. Jones?
All ready, sir.
Now then, madam, you have no idea that a body was concealed in that recess?
Oh, dear, no. I think it's just horrible.
When we were searching this room, why didn't you call our attention to that recess?
Well, you see, it never occurred to me. We never use it.
But you said you had just been through there into the library.
Oh, no, you must have misunderstood me. I meant that door there.
Yes, I certainly misunderstood you. Now, you've no idea when Mr. Costello came back to this house or what he came back here for?
No, not at all.
Well, the fact remains, though, he did come back.
Yes, I suppose so.
He must have had some reason.
I can't imagine.
Perhaps he wanted to see your husband.
Oh, no. He and Henry never liked each other.
Oh, had there been a quarrel between them?
No quarrel. It's just that, well, Henry thought he wore the wrong shoes. You know how odd men are.
He didn't come here to see you.
Oh, no, I'm sure he didn't.
Was there anybody else in the house that he might have wanted to see?
Well, let's see. I don't think so. I mean, who is there?
So Mr. Costello comes to this house. He returns the articles that the first Mrs. Hailsham-Brown had taken away. He says goodbye. He then comes back, presumably through that window. He's killed. His body is pushed into the recess, all in a space of 10, 20 minutes. Nobody hears a thing.
I know. Isn't it extraordinary?
You're sure you didn't hear anything?
No, nothing. It's really fantastic.
Almost too fantastic. Well, that's all for the present, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown.
Yes, well, of course.
But not that way.
Oh, but I'd rather join the others.
Later. Where's the other woman, Miss Peak?
Yes, sir. I put her to bed in the spare room. Once she came out of her hysterics, laughing and crying, she was quite a state.
Well, it doesn't matter if Mrs. H.B. goes and talks to her, but not to those three there. We'll have no comparing of stories, no prompting. Now, you lock the door between the library and the hall?
Yes, sir. I have the keys right here.
Good. Now, we'll take them one at a time, but first I'll have a word with that butler chap. Call
Yes,
him in.
sir.
I have an idea he knows something.
Elgin, come in, please.
Sit down, Elgin.
Yes, sir?
Now, you started off with the pictures this evening, but then you came back. Why was that?
As I've explained to you, sir, my wife wasn't feeling well.
It was you who let Mr. Costello into the house earlier this evening?
Yes.
Why didn't you call our attention to his car parked right outside?
I didn't know, sir. Mr. Costello didn't drive his car up to the front door, so I couldn't tell that he'd come by car.
That's rather peculiar, huh?
Yes, I thought so myself, but I expect he had his reasons.
Just what do you mean by that?
Nothing at all.
Ever seen Mr. Costello before?
Never, sir.
It wasn't because of Mr. Costello that you came back here this evening.
I've explained to you, sir. My wife was
I
not...
don't want to hear any more about your wife. Now, how long have you been with Mrs. Hailsham-Brown?
6 weeks.
And before that?
I'd been taking a bit of a rest.
A rest? You realize that in a case like this, your references will have to be looked at very carefully.
Would that be a... You know, I don't wish to deceive you, sir. There was nothing wrong, really. It's just that the original reference having got torn, I couldn't remember all the words.
So you wrote your own references.
I meant no harm, sir. I have my living to earn.
I'm not interested in your fake references. I want to know what happened here tonight and what you know about Mr. Costello.
I'd never set eyes on the man before, sir. But I think I know why he came here.
Why?
Blackmail. He had something on her.
On Mrs. Hailsham-Brown?
Yes, sir. I heard them speaking when I walked in the room to ask if there was anything else that she wanted.
What did you hear exactly?
Oh, all I really heard was her say, "That's blackmail."
Anything more?
No, they stopped talking when I entered the room, and when I went out, they dropped their voices.
I see.
You won't be hard on me, will you, sir? I've had a hard time one way and another.
Get out.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Blackmail, huh?
I met Miss Hailsham-Brown. Such a nice seeming lady.
I'll see Mr. Birch now.
Yes, sir. Mr. Birch, please.
Come in, Mr. Birch. Have a seat, please.
Inspector?
A rather unpleasant business, I'm afraid, sir. What have you to say about it?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I don't know what you expect me to say, Inspector. The blasted woman opens the blasted cupboard and out flops a blasted corpse. I'm still not quite over it. I can't tell you anything because I don't know anything.
That's your statement, is it? You know nothing at all about it.
I will tell you this. I didn't kill the fellow. I didn't even know him.
Well, you didn't know him, but you'd heard of him.
Yes, and I heard he was a nasty bit of goods.
In what way?
I don't know, the sort of fellow that women liked and men had no use for, that sort of thing.
And you've no idea why Mr. Costello should come back to this house a second time this evening?
Not a clue.
Anything between him and the present Mrs. Hailsham-Brown?
Clarissa, don't be absurd. A lot of sense in Clarissa. Very smart lady. Wouldn't look twice at a chap like that.
So you can't help us.
Sorry, there it is.
You've no idea that a body was concealed in that recess.
Of course not.
Thank you, sir.
What?
That's all. Thank you, sir.
All right.
Mr. Birch, please. He was a mine of information, eh? JP being mixed up in a murder. What do you have there? Who's who?
Let's see. Delahaye. Sir Roland Edward Mark, KCB MVO. Educated Eton, Trinity College. Attached Foreign Office Second Secretary, Madrid Plenipotentiary. Constantinople Foreign Office Special Commission rendered.
Would you like to see him next, sir?
I'll leave him to the last. We'll see Warrender now.
Yes, sir. Mr. Warrender, please.
Sit down. Your name?
Jeremy, with a J. Jeremy Warrender.
Your address?
340 Broad Street and 34 Grosvenor Square. Country address is Hepplestone, Wiltshire.
A gentleman of independent means?
No. I'm a private secretary to Sir Lazarus Stein. Those are his addresses.
Well, how long have you been with him?
About a year.
And did you know the man, Mr. Costello?
No. Never heard of him until tonight.
You didn't see him when he came to the house earlier?
No, we had gone over to the club. You see, it was a servants' night out, and Hugo Birch asked us to join him at the club.
Was Mrs. Hailsham-Brown asked too?
No. I mean, she could have come, if she had liked.
So she was asked then, but she refused?
Well, it's like this. You see, when Hailsham-Brown comes down from the city to the country, he is usually quite tired. So Clarissa just said they would catch a scratch meal here as per usual.
So Mrs. Hailsham-Brown expected her husband to dine here? She didn't expect him to go out again as soon as he came in?
Well, now I believe she did say he was going to go out.
Well, it seems odd then that she should not come out to the club instead of remaining to dine here all by herself.
It's the child, Pippa, She would have liked to have gone out, but she didn't want to leave the youngster here alone.
Or perhaps she was making plans to receive a visitor of her own.
Oh, no, that is a rotten thing to say, and it isn't true. I don't believe Clarissa would do anything of the kind.
Yet Mr. Costello came here to meet someone. Now, the servants were out, Miss Peake has her own cottage. There really was no other person he could have come to see except Mrs. Hailsham-Brown.
Well, ask her.
I have asked her.
And what did she say?
Just what you say, Mr. Warren.
Well, there you are.
Now, can you tell me how you all happened to come back here after the club? Was that the original plan?
Yes. I mean, no.
Which do you mean, sir?
Well, it was like this. We'd all gone over to the club, and Hugo and old Rolly, they went in first, and I said I would join them a bit later. I was knocking balls about on the fairway, It was a cold buffet, you understand? And then someone said bridge, and I said, well, why not come back here and play? Yes.
I see.
So we did.
It was your idea.
No, I believe old Hugo mentioned it at first.
And you arrived back here when?
We left the club just before 8.
And it's what, 5 minutes walk?
Yes, the club is just over the garden through those doors there.
And then you played bridge?
That's correct.
That must have been about, 20 minutes before our arrival. Surely you had time to complete 2 rubbers and start a third.
Oh, you're looking at this. No. That is yesterday's score. Do you understand? This is today's score.
Only one person seems to have scored.
Well, I'm afraid we're all a bit lazy about keeping score. Clarissa usually does it.
Now, did you know about the passageway between this room and the library?
Oh, you mean that place where the body was found? Terrific piece of camouflage, isn't it? You'd never guess.
Consequently, you couldn't have known that the body was concealed there.
Oh, no, you could have knocked me over with a feather. Absolute blood and thunder melodrama. Oh, I couldn't believe my eyes.
Are these your gloves, Mr. Warrender?
No. I mean, yes.
You were wearing them on the way back from the golf club?
Well, there's a bit of nip in the air, you understand.
I think you're mistaken. These gloves have Mr. Hailsham-Brown's initials inside them.
Oh, yes, so they do. Well, I have a pair that look just like it.
Oh, These, perhaps?
Oh, you're not going to catch me a second time. I've learned one pair of gloves looks identical to the other.
3 pairs of gloves, all with Hailsham-Brown's initials. Curious.
Well, this is his house. Why should he not have 3 pairs of gloves just lying about?
The interesting thing is you thought one of those might be yours, and I think that yours are just sticking out of your pocket right now. No, the other pocket. No, the other pocket.
What? Oh, here they are, yes.
They're not really very like these, are they?
These are my golfing gloves.
Thank you, Mr. Warrender. That's all for now.
Now, I do say, you don't think
I
that...
don't think what?
Nothing.
Sir,
What?
please.
This way.
I...
Mr. Warrender's employer was Stein. Yes, here we go. Stein, Sir Lazarus, chairman of Saxon Arabian Oil Company and Gulf Petroleum Company, recreations, golf, fishing, and philately, address 340 Broad Street, 34 Grosvenor Square. Mr. Warrender works for a very important man. What have you got there?
Just a card, sir. Found it over there by the chair.
The Ace of Spades. That's a very interesting card. Now, here, wait a minute. Huh. Red, same pack. Well, well, no Ace of Spades. That's most remarkable, don't you think?
Is it?
I'll see Sir Roland Delahaye now.
Yes, sir. Sir Roland Delahaye, please.
Come in, Sir Roland. Please have a seat. You are Sir Roland Delahaye. Your address?
Long Paddock, Little Witch Green, and Lincolnshire. You couldn't find it there?
Now, if you please, I would like your account of the evening after you left here shortly before 7.
It had been raining all day. It suddenly cleared up. We had made arrangements to go over to the golf club for dinner, as it was the servants' night out, so we did that. Shortly before we finished dinner, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown rung up and suggested, as her husband had gone out unexpectedly, that the 3 of us return and make a fall for bridge. We did that. And we'd been playing for about 20 minutes. You arrived. The rest you know.
That's not quite Mr. Warrender's account of the matter.
Indeed. How did he put it?
Well, he thought the suggestion to come back and play bridge came from one of you 3. Mr. Birch, he thought.
Well, that's because Mr. Warrender arrived at the dining room very late. He didn't realize that Mrs. Hailsham-Brown had rung up. You know better than I how rarely 2 people's account of the same events agree. And if 3 people were to agree exactly, I would consider that suspicious. Very suspicious indeed.
Mm-hmm. I would like to discuss this case with you, sir, if I may.
That would be agreeable.
Now, the dead man, Mr. Costello, came here with some particular object in view. Do you agree to that?
He came to return some objects that Mrs. Miranda Hailsham-Brown had removed in error.
Well, that may have been his excuse, though I'm not even sure of that, but that wasn't the real reason that brought him here.
You may be right, I can't say.
He came, perhaps, to see a particular person. It may have been you, it may have been Mr. Warrender, it may have been Mr. Birch.
Oh, if he'd wanted to see Mr. Birch, he would have gone to Mr. Birch's house. He wouldn't have come here.
That is probably so. Therefore, that leaves us with a choice of 4 people. You, Warrender, Mr. Hailsham-Brown, and Mrs. Hailsham-Brown. Now, how well did you know Oliver Costello?
I hardly knew him. I had only met him a couple of times.
And where did you meet him?
Oh, at the Hailsham-Browns in London over a year ago, and then once in a restaurant, I believe.
But you had no reason for wishing to murder him, did you?
Is that an accusation, Inspector?
No, Sir Roland. I'm quite certain you have no motive for wishing to do away with Mr. Costello. So that leaves us with 3 people.
It sounds like a variant on that mystery play, 10 Little Indians.
We'll take Mr. Warrender. How well did you know him?
I only met him here a couple of days ago. He's an agreeable fellow, well-bred, well-educated. I really know nothing about him, but he seems an unlikely murderer.
So much for Mr. Warrender. So that brings me to my next question.
How well do I know Henry Hailsham-Brown, and how well do I know Mrs. Hailsham-Brown? Henry Hailsham-Brown I know very well indeed. He is an old friend. And of Clarissa, I know all there is to know. She is my ward and inexpressibly dear to me.
Yes, sir, I think that answer makes certain things very clear.
Does it indeed?
Why did you change your plans this evening? Why did you come back here and pretend to play bridge?
Pretend?
This card was found on the other side of the room under the chair. Now, I can hardly believe that you would have played 2 rubbers of bridge and started a third with 51 cards and a pack containing no ace of spades.
Perhaps that is a little hard to believe.
I also think that 3 pairs of Mr. Hailsham-Brown's gloves need a certain amount of explanation.
I'm afraid, Inspector, you won't get any explanation from me.
No, sir. I take it you are out to do your best for a certain lady, but it's not a bit of good, sir. Truth will out.
I wonder.
Mrs. Hailsham-Brown knew the body was in that recess. Whether she dragged it there herself or whether you helped her, I don't know, but she knew. Now, I propose that Mr. Costello came here to see Mrs. Hailsham-Brown to obtain money by threats.
Threats? What kind of threats?
Well, that will come out, no doubt. Now, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown is attractive, very charming, and this Mr. Costello was very attractive to the ladies, they say, and Mrs. Hailsham-Brown is newly married, so it's possible that...
Inspector, I must put you right on certain matters. You can confirm what I tell you easily enough. Henry Hailsham-Brown's first marriage was unfortunate. His wife was a beautiful woman, but unbalanced and neurotic. The state of her health and disposition had deteriorated to such an alarming state that her little daughter, Pippa, had to be removed to a nursing home. It was a shocking state of affairs. She had become a drug addict. How she obtained the drugs was never found out, but a likely guess is it was from Oliver Costello. She was infatuated with him and finally ran off with him. Henry Hailsham-Brown allowed her to divorce him. He is a man of old-fashioned views. He has since found happiness and peace in his marriage with Clarissa. And Clarissa, I can assure you, Inspector, has no guilty secrets. There is nothing with which Oliver Costello could possibly have threatened her. How can you think you're on the right tack here? How can you be so certain it was a person he came to see? Couldn't it have been a place?
What do you mean, sir?
Well, when you told us about this fellow Selling, he was investigated by the narcotics squad. Couldn't there be a link there? Drugs, Selling, Selling's house. I understand that Costello has been here ostensibly to look at Selling's antiques. But what if he really was interested in an object? That desk, perhaps. There is the curious incident of the man who came here and offered an exorbitant amount for that desk. Well, suppose Costello came looking to examine that desk, to search it, if you will, and suppose he was followed by someone, and that someone struck him down there by the desk.
That's a good deal of supposition, sir.
A very reasonable hypothesis.
The hypothesis being that this somebody put the body in that recess?
Exactly.
That would mean someone that knew about the recess.
Someone who knew the house when Selling lived here.
That's all very well, sir, but it doesn't explain one thing.
And what is that?
Mrs. Hailsham-Brown knew the body was in that recess. She tried to prevent us looking there. It's no good trying to convince me otherwise. She knew.
Inspector, would you allow me to speak with my ward?
Only in my presence.
That will do.
Jones.
Sir. We are in your hands, Inspector. I will ask that you make what allowances you can.
Miss Hailsham-Brown, come in here, please.
Clarissa, you do as I ask. Tell the inspector the truth.
The truth?
The truth. It's the only thing to do.
Sit down, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown.
I'm sorry I told you all those lies. I didn't mean to. One gets carried away, if you know what I mean.
No, I really don't know what you mean. Now give me the facts, please.
It's really quite simple. Oliver left, and then Henry came home, and then Henry left again, and then I came in with the sandwiches.
Sandwiches?
Yes, you see, my husband is bringing home a very important delegate from abroad.
Oh, who is this delegate?
Mr. Jones.
I beg your pardon?
Silly name, I know, but anyway, I brought the sandwiches in, and they were going to have the sandwiches there on the sofa and talk, and I was going to have chocolate mousse up in the schoolroom.
Mousse in the... Yes, I see.
So, let's see, after Henry left, I prepared the sandwiches, and then I left them there on the table, and then I put a book away up on the bookshelf, and then, well, I practically fell over it.
You fell over the body?
Yes, it was there behind the sofa, and it was Oliver Costello. I looked, and he was dead. And so I rang my friends up at the club, Sir Roland, Delahaye, Mr. Birch, and Jeremy Warrender, and I asked them to come here and help me take the body away.
It didn't occur to you to ring up the police?
Well, yes, it occurred to me, but then I didn't.
You didn't? Why not?
Because my husband wouldn't have wanted me to. Inspector, I don't know if you know many people in the Foreign Office, but they like everything to be very quiet and not noticeable. And you must admit that murders are quite noticeable.
Quite so.
Oh, I'm so glad that you understand. I mean, he was quite dead, and there was nothing I could do for him, so he might as well be dead in Marston Wood than here in our living room.
Marston Wood? Where's Marston Wood come into it?
Well, that's where I was thinking of placing him.
Madam, have you never heard that a dead body, if there's any suspicion of foul play, should never be moved?
Well, of course I've heard of it. I've read it in all of the detective magazines, but Inspector, this is real life, and in real life it's quite different.
Do you realize the seriousness of what you're saying?
Yes, I do, and that's why I'm telling you the truth. So I rang them up and they all came over.
And you persuaded them to put the body in the recess?
No, that came later. My plan was to leave the body in his car in Marston Wood.
And they agreed?
They agreed.
Frankly, madam, I cannot believe that 3 reputable men would agree to obstruct the course of justice in such a manner.
I knew you wouldn't believe me if I told you the truth. So what do you believe?
Well, I can see only one reason why those men would agree to lie.
You mean?
That they believed or knew that you had killed the man.
But I had no reason for killing him. Oh, I knew you would react like this. That's why I was...
That's why what?
All right. I'll tell you.
I think that would be wiser.
Yes, I'll tell you the truth.
I can assure you, madam, that telling the police a pack of lies will not get you very far. Now, you'd better give me the real story.
Yes, I will. Dear, I thought I was being so clever.
Much better not to try to be clever. Now, tell me what really did happen here tonight.
Well, let's see. Well, it all quite happened at the beginning, as I explained. Oliver left with Miss Peake, and then Henry came home, and then he told me he was going to have to go out again, and so I saw him off in the car, and then it was right after I shut the front door that I began to feel nervous.
Nervous? Why?
Well, I realized that I'd never been left in this house alone before.
Well?
Well, I said to myself, be silly. You have the telephone. You can always ring for help. I said, burglars, they don't come at this time of the evening. They come in the middle of the night. But still, I couldn't help but think that I heard a door shutting and closing and footsteps up in my bedroom. So I thought I'd better do something.
Yes?
Yes, so, well, I thought I'd better get myself busy. And so I went into the kitchen and I took the sandwiches that Elgin had made and I put them on a plate and covered them with a napkin to keep them moist. And then it was as I was taking the plate and crossing the hallway that I really heard something.
Where?
In this room. I heard a drawer being opened and closed. And I realized that this window was unlocked and somebody must have come in that way.
Go on.
Oh, I became petrified. I thought, I'm alone here. What am I going to do? So I thought I'd better come up with a plan.
Yes?
So I went into the hall stand and I took the heaviest stick that I could find. I didn't turn on any lights and I made my way across from the library into the recess. I mean, if you didn't know about it, you'd never believe that there was a door here.
No, you certainly wouldn't.
So I gently slipped my way inside the little cupboard hole, and then I put my fingers on the latch, and I was just going to gently open the door, ever so slightly. But my finger slipped and the door swung open, and I saw a man standing there, and I was terrified. He had something silver and bright in his hands, and I thought it was a revolver. I thought he was going to kill me. And so I took this stick and hit him with all my might, and he fell. May I have a little brandy, please?
Yes, of course. Jones.
Thank you. You're very kind.
Of course.
Do you feel able to continue, madam?
Yes, of course. Well, I turned on the light and I saw a man lying there, and it was Oliver Costello, and I thought to myself, oh my God, what was Oliver doing tampering with that desk? Well, I was just so frightened I didn't know what to do, and so I called up the club and asked my friends to come and help me take the body away.
Why?
Because I was a coward. I was just terrified of the publicity of having to go to police court, and it would be terrible for my husband and his career. I mean, if it had really been a burglar, perhaps I could have done it, but being someone that we knew, someone who was just married to Oliver's former wife, well, I mean Henry's former wife, I just didn't think that I could.
Possibly because the dead man a short time earlier had attempted to blackmail you.
Blackmail me? Oh, that's just silly. There's nothing anyone could blackmail me about.
Come now, madam, do you deliberately tell me that the word blackmail was never mentioned?
Oh, yes, of course. I forgot.
But you remember now.
Yes. Well, you see, it was nothing really important. It was just that when Oliver was here, he was talking about how extraordinarily high that the rents were for furnished houses. And I said we were really lucky. We were getting ours for 4 guineas a week. And he said, oh, Clarissa, I can hardly believe that. It must be blackmail. And I said, blackmail, that's what it is. Just a silly joke. I didn't even remember it.
I'm sorry, madam, but I simply cannot believe that.
You can't believe what?
That you're only paying 4 guineas a week furnished here.
Inspector, you really are the most suspicious man I've ever met. I mean, most things I can't, explain or prove, but this one I can, and I'm going to show you here in my hand, I have an agreement for a furnished tenancy for 4 guineas a week.
Well, I'm blessed. It's extraordinary, quite extraordinary.
Now, don't you think you owe me an apology?
I apologize, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, but it really is extremely odd.
Yes, and why is that?
Well, it happens a lady and gentleman came to this house with orders to view it, and the lady mentioned that they were asking an absurd price, 18 guineas, and she thought 18 guineas a week for a house right in the country, miles from anywhere, was ridiculous, and I agreed with her.
Oh, yes, that is extraordinary. Now I see why you were so skeptical. But perhaps now you'll believe some of the other things that I told you.
Well, I'm not doubting your final story. We usually know the truth when we hear it. I also knew there would have to be a strong reason for those men to cook up that outlandish scheme of concealment.
Oh, Inspector, please, you mustn't blame them. It's my fault. I went on and on at them.
Oh, I've no doubt you did. No, but the question is, who telephoned the police?
Yes, that is extraordinary.
Well, it clearly wasn't you. It wouldn't have been those 3 men.
Elgin, Miss Peake.
No, Miss Peake, she didn't know the body was in there.
I wonder.
Why, when the body was discovered, she had hysterics.
Yes, well, anyone can have hysterics.
Well, anyway, she doesn't live here. She lives in the cottage.
Yes, but she could have been in the house. She does have keys to all of the doors.
It looks more to me like Elgin who telephoned.
Inspector, you're not going to send me to prison, are you? I mean, Uncle Rowley said you wouldn't.
Well, it's a good thing that you changed your story in time and told the truth. Now, if you'll let me advise you, you'll get in touch with your solicitor as soon as possible, and we'll have your statement typed up and read over to you, and perhaps you'll sign it.
I couldn't stay away any longer. Do you understand, Inspector? Is it all right?
Uncle Rowley, I've made a full statement to the police about how I thought it was a burglar and I hit him on the head and he died, but it was really Oliver Costello, and how I was just horrified, and so I called you up and asked you to come over here and help me get rid of the body, and I begged and begged, and finally you agreed, and I know that it was wrong of me, I really do, but at the time I just thought it would be more, cozier for everybody if Oliver's body was found in Marston Wood.
Clarissa, what have you been saying?
Mrs. Hailsham-Brown has made a very full statement.
So it seems.
It was the only thing to do. The inspector made me see that.
It will lead to far less trouble in the end. Now, madam, I shan't have you go into the recess while the body is in there, but I would like you to show me exactly where that man was standing when you came through that way.
Yes, of course. Well, he was standing here like this.
I see. Mr. Jones.
Sir.
And then the door opened, and you came through that way, and... What the hell? Where's the body?
Sucks to you.
I cannot understand how you policemen get anything done, Inspector, losing bodies like this.
I can't see why a guard wasn't put on that body.
Now, Elgin.
I know nothing of it, Inspector, I assure you. Nothing whatsoever.
Ah, quite an awkward moment for the inspector. It seems the divisional surgeon was quite annoyed at not having a corpse to examine.
But who could have taken it away? Do you think Jeremy managed somehow?
I don't see how. They didn't allow any of us back into the library, and the door from the hall to the library was locked. Pippa's sucks to you was the last straw. It does show us one thing. Costello was in the secret drawer. Clarissa, why didn't you tell the inspector the truth?
I tried, all except the part about Pippa, but he didn't believe me.
Why did you have to fill him with all that nonsense?
Well, it seemed to me the only thing he would believe, and now he has believed it.
And you're in a fine mess. Manslaughter, for all of us.
No. Self-defense.
Oh, pushing us around here and there. Now it seems they've gone and lost the body.
Damn funny, I call it.
Oh, it really is extraordinary. I mean, who phoned up the police to say that there had been a murder here?
I bet it was Elgin.
That Peak woman.
But it doesn't make sense.
Coast clear? No bobbies about? Seem to be swarming all over the property.
They're searching the house and ground.
What for?
The body. It's gone.
Oh, what a lark! A disappearing corpse.
It's a nightmare. It's a bloody nightmare.
It's rather like the movies, isn't it, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown?
I trust you're feeling better, Miss Peak.
Oh, I'm much better. I'm really pretty tough, you know. I do admit that I was bowled over, though, when I opened that door and saw that corpse there. Turned me quite around, I have to admit.
Thought perhaps you knew it was there.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
I don't understand. Why move the body? We all know there is a body. We know the identity and everything. It makes no sense.
Well, I wouldn't say that, Mr. Birch. Got to have a body. A habeas corpus and all of that. Besides, if you don't have a body, you can't bring a charge of murder against anyone. So don't you worry, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown. Everything is going to be just fine.
Me?
You? I have had my ears open all evening. I haven't spent all of my time just languishing upstairs in the spare bedroom. I never liked that Elgin and his wife, always sneaking around and listening at doors and running to the police with stories of blackmail.
So you heard.
Oh, I stand by your sex. That's what I always say. Men. I can't hold with them. If they can't find a body, they will not be able to bring a charge of murder. And I dare say, if that brute did blackmail you, then you were quite right to crack him over the head, and good riddance.
No, but I didn't.
Oh, I heard you tell the inspector everything. Hadn't been for that Elgin skulking around and eavesdropping, your story would have been quite right.
Which one?
Well, the one about you mistaking him for a burglar. It's the part about the blackmail that's where it gets the complexion of the whole thing changes. So I really felt that there was only one thing to do. I would get rid of the body and let the police chase their tails around looking for it. Pretty good idea if I do say so myself.
Wait, you mean that it was you who took that
We
body
are
out?
all friends here, aren't we? Yes, I moved the body. I took it outside, locked all the doors behind me. I had the keys to all of the doors right here.
But where did you put it?
Upstairs. In the guest bedroom. On the four-poster. Under the bolster. And then I remade the bed and I laid down on top of it.
But how did you get it up there? You couldn't have managed that by yourself.
Oh, it's not all that surprising. Good old fireman's lift. I just flung him right over my shoulder.
Suppose you had met somebody on the stairs.
Well, I didn't, did I? The police were with Mrs. Hailsham-Brown. The three of you were in the dining room, and so I seized my chance and the body, and I took it out, locking the door behind me, up the stairs, popped it into the guest room, and locked all of the library doors.
Oh, upon my soul.
Well, it can't stay under the bolster forever.
Well, not forever, but at least for the next 24 hours. By that time, the police will have finished their investigation here, and they will be looking farther afield. Now, you know, I have been thinking. This morning, I dug a really deep trench with the idea of planting a row of sweet peas. Well, we'll bury the body in the trench and we'll plant a row of peas right along.
Miss Peak, I'm afraid that grave digging is no longer a matter for private enterprise.
You men, you're such sticklers. We've got more sense now, don't we? We even take murder in our stride, don't we, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown?
Of course not.
Oh, you don't believe she did it? Don't believe a word of it.
Well, if she didn't, who did?
Pippa, what are you doing out of bed?
I came down. I'm so frightfully hungry. You said you'd bring this up.
Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. I thought you were sleeping.
I was asleep. Then I thought a policeman came in and looked at me. I've been having an awful dream. Then I half woke up. Then I was hungry. So I thought I'd come down. Besides, I thought it might be true.
What might be true?
That horrible dream about Oliver.
What was your dream about Oliver, Pippa? Tell me.
I made this tonight. I melted down a wax candle and made a pin red hot and stuck it through it.
Good Lord!
I said the right words and everything, but I couldn't do it quite as the book said.
What book? I don't understand.
This one, she got it in the marketplace today. She said it was a recipe book.
And you said, can you eat it?
100 tried and trusty spells. How to cure wards. How to destroy one's enemy. Pippa, is this what you did?
Yes, it isn't very like Oliver, and I couldn't get any clippings of his hair, but it was as like him as I could make it. And then I dreamed. I thought I came down here and he was there, and it was all true. He was there, dead. I had killed him. Is it true? Did I kill him?
No, darling, no.
But he was there.
Yes, he was there. And you saw him, but you didn't kill him. When you stuck that pin in that wax figure, you killed your hate and fear of him. You're no longer afraid of him, are you?
No, but I did see him. I came down here and I saw him lying there dead. I did see him.
Yes, you did see him. And he is dead, but you didn't kill him. Listen to me, Pippa. He was struck over the head with a big stick. You didn't do that, did you?
A golf stick like Johnny.
No, not a golf club, Pippa. A big stick like the one that's kept out in the hallway.
The one that belonged to Mr. Selling?
Yes.
Oh no, I wouldn't do anything like that. Oh, Uncle Rony, I wouldn't have killed him, really.
Oh, darling, of course you wouldn't. Don't you worry about it here. Eat your chocolate mousse.
I don't understand any of this. What is that book?
Here's one. How to bring pox to your neighbor's cattle. I believe with a little adjusting, you could bring a black spot to your neighbor's roses.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Black magic.
I am not superstitious, thank goodness.
I'm in a complete fog.
Oh, so am I. I'm going to go out and find that inspector and give him the help I know that he needs.
Now, where are we?
Well, I think we ought to call the police.
I don't know. Clarissa's already told them 3 different stories.
Oh, I've been such a fool. I should have known Pippa couldn't have done something like that.
You mean you really thought Pippa...
Yes.
Oh, that explains it.
Yes, listen, I have an idea, though. Hugo, what was the name of Mr. Sellon's shop?
It was an antique shop.
Yes, I know, but what was it called?
What was it called?
Yes. Oh, dear. You said it before, and I want you to say it again, but I don't want to tell you what to say.
Hey, you have any idea what she's talking about, Rowland?
No idea. Try again, Clarissa.
What was the name of the antique shop?
It was an antique shop. They don't have names like Seaview or anything like that.
What was written up over the door?
Written up over the door? Nothing. I mean, just Selling and Brown, I think.
Selling and Brown. Yes, Hugo. Yes, that's what I thought you said. Selling and Brown. My name is Hailsham-Brown. We got this house furnished for a ridiculous amount. Everyone else who came out to see it was asked such an exorbitant rent that they went away in disgust. Now, do you understand?
No.
Dimly.
Mr. Sellon's partner was a woman who lived in London. Today, someone phoned and asked to speak to Mrs. Brown, not Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, just Mrs. Brown. Now, do you see?
I see where you're going.
I don't.
A chestnut horse or a horse chestnut? One makes all the difference.
Are you quite delirious, Clarissa?
Somebody murdered Oliver. It wasn't any of you 3. It wasn't me or Henry. It wasn't Pippa, thank God. So who was it?
As I told the inspector before, it was an outside job. Somebody followed Costello here.
Yes, but why? Today when I left you at the golf course gate, I came back in through this window and Oliver was standing there at that desk and he seemed surprised to see me. He said, "Clarissa, what are you doing here?" Well, at the time I just thought it was an elaborate way of him trying to annoy me. But perhaps he really was? surprised to see me. Perhaps he was expecting to see Mr. Selland's partner, that Mrs. Brown.
Wouldn't he have known that you and Henry had the house? Wouldn't Miranda have known?
No, when Miranda communicates, it's always through lawyers. I'm telling you, he had no idea he was going to see me. Oh, he recovered quite quickly and made up some story about coming to make arrangements for Pippa. And then he pretended to leave, but he came back because...
The hunt is still on. They've searched under all of the beds, and now I believe they're canvassing the property.
Miss Peake, do you remember what Mr. Costello said to you before he left?
Not a clue.
Didn't he say, I've come to see Mrs. Brown?
I don't recall. Perhaps. Why?
But it wasn't me he came to see, was it?
Well, if it wasn't you, who was it?
It was you. You're Mrs. Brown, aren't you?
That's very bright of you. Yes, I am Mrs. Brown.
You're Mr. Selland's partner. You inherited this house along with his business. And for some reason, you had an idea to rent to someone whose name was Brown, and you thought that would be very easy, but in the end, you had to compromise for Hailsham-Brown. I just don't understand why you wanted me to be in the limelight while you watched.
My partner, Charles Selland, was murdered. Got a hold of something very valuable. I don't know what it was. I don't even know where he got it. He wasn't always very scrupulous.
So we have heard.
Well, whatever it was, it got him killed. And whoever killed him didn't get what they were looking for because it wasn't in the shop. It was here. And I knew that eventually the killer would come back, so I wanted to be on watch. And that is why I needed a dummy, Mrs. Brown.
Didn't it worry you that Mrs. Hailsham-Brown, a perfectly innocent woman, would be in danger?
I kept my eye on her, didn't I? Almost to the point that it annoyed all of you. And then when that man came here the other day and gave her that ridiculous offer for the desk, I knew that I was on the right track, but I swear there is nothing in there that revealed anything.
Did you examine the secret drawer?
Secret drawer, eh?
Yes, and Pippa found it. There wasn't anything very exciting in it, though, just some old autographs.
Oh, yes, those autographs. I really would like to see them again.
Oh, Pippa, what did you do with the autographs? Oh, dear, she is sound asleep,
Oh,
isn't
probably
she?
all the excitement. I'll tell you what, I'll pick her up and we'll pop her upstairs.
No.
Well, why? She's no weight. Not anything like Mr. Costello was.
Just the same. I think she's safer here.
Safer?
Safer?
That's what I just said. The child said something very significant just now.
What? What, Brody? What'd she say?
Now you think back, perhaps you'll realize what it was.
Oh, I don't get it. Don't be so damn mysterious. Just come out with it.
Yes. Clarissa, where are those autographs?
Pippa put them in that shell-encrusted box on the shelf.
Up here. Oh. Oh, yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Certainly.
Ah, Victoria, God bless her. Faded brown ink. Huh? Ruskin? Seems genuine enough. Ah, Robert Browning. Paper not as old as it ought to be.
What are you getting at, Uncle Rowley?
Back during the war, I had some experience with invisible inks and the like. If you wanted to write a secret message to someone, you would take a sheet of paper and write the message in invisible ink, but then cover it with a fake autograph. Now then you take that autograph and put it with some genuine autographs, and nobody would notice it or look twice at it any more than we did.
But what could Charles Selland have written that would be worth £14,000?
Nothing, dear lady. But it occurs to me it might have been a matter of safety.
Safety?
Yes. Costello is considered to be a drug dealer, and, well, the inspector told me that Selland had been investigated by the narcotics squad. Perhaps he had some incriminating evidence. It wouldn't have been anything sophisticated, a little lemon juice. Some gentle heat might do the trick.
Shall we try an experiment?
Yes.
Sure.
We have an electric heater in the library. Jeremy, will you go get it? We can plug it in over there.
This is ridiculous. It's the most far-fetched idea I've ever heard of in my life.
Oh, no, I think it's a wonderful idea.
We mustn't get our hopes up. It's only an idea. But there must be some reason why Selin hid these bits of paper in such a secret place.
You know, it takes me back to when I was a kid. We used to write secret messages in lemon juice.
Which shall we start?
Queen Victoria.
6-1, it's the Ruskin.
My money is on Robert Browning.
Oh, Browning. Most obscure chap. Never could understand a word of his poetry.
Exactly. Full of hidden meaning.
Oh, well, I just can't bear it if nothing happens.
A little time. Yes, there is writing.
Yes.
We've got
Let me
it. What is
see your
something?
notes.
What is it? 6 names and addresses. Drug dealers, I imagine. And one of the names? Oliver Costello.
Oh, so that's why he came back here. Someone must have followed him. Oh, Uncle Rolly, we must tell the police. Come on, Hugo.
Well done, Rowland.
Coming with us, Miss Peake?
Oh, you don't want me to come along, do you?
Oh, yes, we do. You were Selin's partner.
I had nothing to do with the drug business. I handled all of the buying and selling of antiques in London.
I see.
Hello, Clarissa.
Oh, hello, Jeremy.
I remembered what Sir Roland said, and I didn't want to leave Pippa alone, so I figured I'd just come down and keep an eye on her. And her feet seemed cold, so I was just about to cover them up.
I'm so starving. All this excitement has made me terribly hungry. I think I'll have a sandwich.
Oh.
Jeremy, you ate all the sandwiches.
I'm sorry, I was rather hungry myself.
Well, I don't know why you should be. You've had dinner, I haven't.
No, I hadn't. I'd only just gotten back to the dining room. I was practicing approach shots, and then your call came.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
You.
What?
You. What were you doing with that pillow when I came into the room?
What do you mean, you? I told you I was covering up little Pippa's feet.
Is that what you were really doing? Or were you going to use that pillow to cover her face?
Oh, Clarissa.
Oh, I said that none of us could have killed him, but one of us could have. You could have. You were left alone on the golf course. You could have come back in through the library, through the window which you left open. You still had your golf club with you. That's what Pippa saw. That's what she meant when she said a golf stick like Jeremy had. She saw you.
Clarissa, this is ridiculous. It's just more of your nonsense.
No, it's the truth. I know it is. And then after you killed Oliver, you went back to the club and you phoned the police so that they would come here, find the body, and think that Henry or I had killed him.
That is rubbish.
No, it's true. I know it's true. But why, Jeremy? Why?
This.
That's the envelope that the autographs were in.
Yes, there's a stamp on it. It's called an error stamp. It's printed in the wrong color. One sold in Sweden last year for £14,800. This stamp came into Selin's possession, and he wrote to my boss about it. Well, I intercepted the letter, and then I came down, and I saw Selin at his shop, and...
And you killed him, but you couldn't find the envelope.
Yes. When Costello came here, I figured he had beaten me to it.
And so you killed him, and just now you were going to murder Pippa?
Why not?
I can't believe it, but why?
Oh, my darling, £14,800. is a tremendous amount of money.
My God. Why are you telling me all this, Jenny? You don't think that I'll go to the police?
They'll never believe you.
Yes, they will.
Besides, darling, you're not going to get the chance. Do you realize when I've killed 2 people, do you think I shall hesitate about killing a third?
All right, Warrender. Thank you. That's all the evidence we need. Give me the envelope. Jeremy Warrender, I arrest you for the murder of Oliver Costello, and I must warn you that anything you say will be taken down and may be given as evidence.
You can save your breath, Inspector. It was a good try.
Take him away.
You all right?
Yes, I'm all right.
I never meant to expose you to all of this.
You knew it was Jeremy.
But what made you think of the stamp, sir?
When Pippa showed me the envelope earlier, it rang a bell, and then when I looked in Who's Who and saw that Warrender's employer, Sir Lazarus Stein, was a philatelist, a stamp collector, my curiosity and suspicion developed, and just now, when he had the impertinence to pocket that envelope right under my nose, I felt it a certainty. Do take care of that envelope, Inspector. I think you'll find it extremely valuable besides being evidence.
Oh, it's evidence, all right. However, we've still got to find the body.
Oh, that's easy, Inspector. Just go look up in the spare room.
Now, come now, Mrs. Hailsham-Brown.
Why doesn't anybody believe me when I'm speaking the truth? It's in the spare room bed. It's across the bed, under the bolster. Miss Peake put it there, trying to be kind.
You know, madam, you haven't made things easier for us tonight with your tall stories. I suppose you thought your husband had done it and you were covering up for him, but you really shouldn't do it, madam. You really shouldn't do it.
What?
We should get her up to bed. It'll be safe now.
Wake up.
Hungry.
Oh, yes, I'm sure you are. Come on, let's get something to eat.
Good night, Pippa.
Good night.
Can I give you a hand, Clarissa?
No, thank you.
Well, I never would have believed it. Seemed like such a decent young fellow. Went to the right schools, knew all the right people.
And quite willing to commit murder for £14,000. It happens from time to time in every class of society. Attractive personality and no moral sense.
I thought you would like to know, Sir Roland, that I have to go down to the police station. The police want me to make a statement. Apparently they were none too pleased with the trick that I played upon them. I'm in for a wigging, I'm afraid. Oh, well. Tally-ho! Oh, God.
Well, there's something I don't understand. Is Miss Peake Mrs. Sellon, or was Mr. Sellon Mr. Brown? Or could it be the other way around?
Oh, well, I don't cotton to either one of those. Oh.
One more drink for the road. I'm planning on...
We're removing the body, sir.
Yes, Inspector.
Would you mind advising Mrs. Hailsham-Brown that if she keeps telling these crazy stories to the police, one day she'll get into real trouble?
She did tell you the true story once, you know. You refused to believe her.
Yes, well, it was a bit difficult to swallow, you'll admit.
I do admit it.
Not that I blame you, sir. Mrs. Hailsham-Brown has a very taking way with her. Good night, Sir Roland.
Good night, Inspector.
Good night, Mr. Birch.
Oh, good night, Inspector, and jolly well done.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I guess I'd best be getting home. Quite an evening, wasn't it, Rowland?
As you say, Hugo, quite an evening.
Good night.
Oh, darling Rolly, and so clever, too.
You are a very lucky woman. It's a good thing you didn't fall in love with that man.
Darling, if I fall in love with anyone, it will be you.
Oh, none of your tricks with me.
Oh, Henry.
Hello, Rowland. Thought you were at the club tonight.
Well, I thought I ought to turn in early. It's been a strenuous evening.
Bridge?
Well, bridge and some other things. Good night. Good night.
Good night, darling. Darling, where's Mr. Jones?
He didn't come.
What?
The plane arrived with nothing but a half-baked aide-de-camp in it. First thing he did was turn around and fly back where he came from.
Why?
How do I know? Suspicious, it seems. Suspicious of what, I ask you?
Well, what about Sir John?
Oh, that's the worst of it. He'll be arriving any minute now, I expect. Of course, I rang up at once from the airport, but he'd already started. Oh, the whole thing's a most ghastly fiasco.
Oh, darling. Oh, I'll get it. Maybe the police.
Police?
Hello? Yes, this is Cobblestone Court. Oh, yes, he's here. 1 moment, please. Darling, it's Bitley Heath Airport for you.
Hello? Yes, speaking. What? 10 minutes later, shall I? Yes? You have? I see. Yes. Right. Clarissa, another plane came in just 10 minutes after the first, and Callendorf was on it.
You mean Mr. Jones?
Quite right, darling. One can't be too careful. Yes, it seems the first plane was a kind of a security precaution. Really, one can't fathom how these people's minds work. Well, anyway, they're sending him over here now with an RAF escort. He'll be here in about a quarter of an hour. Now then, is everything all right? Could you get rid of those cards, darling?
Yes, of course.
What is all this?
Oh, darling, dear, I'm sorry. Pippa was eating the chocolate mousse, and I'll make you some more ham sandwiches.
I thought you were going to have everything already. What have you been doing all of the evening?
Well, Henry, it has been the most exciting evening. I mean, first I came in here with the sandwiches, and I practically fell over a dead body behind the sofa.
Yes, darling, your stories are really enchanting, but we really don't have time now.
Darling, I'm not making this up. It's the truth. I mean, there was a narcotic ring, and the police came, and Miss Peake really isn't Miss Peake. She's really Mrs. Brown, and Jeremy was a murderer, and he killed Oliver, and then Jeremy was trying to steal a stamp worth £14,000.
Must have been a second Swedish yellow.
Yes, that's exactly what it was.
The things you imagine, Clarissa.
But darling, I couldn't have imagined half as much.
Do go and make that coffee, darling. You can tell me all your lovely rigmarole tomorrow. Either Sir John or Mr. Jones will be here at any moment.
Well, what I have been through today, oh, it reminds me of Sir Walter Scott. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive.
My adorable spy.
Oh, Henry. You go meet your Mr. Jones. He's here. Darling, I'll make the coffee and put this, make some more sandwiches. I'll put them in the hallway and you can come and get them whenever you like. High-level talks will now begin.
Good luck. I mean, thanks.
Good luck, darling.
Evening, Sir John.
Clarissa